All right, we're eating carrots here with Joel Salatin. He's got a full mouth here, so I'll just slowly ask the question. Why are you in Florida right now, Joel?
Eating carrots.
Here to visit us.
Tomorrow is the Rogue Food Conference in Florida. We started this in 2020, February 2020, and we've had 2 a year ever since. We've moved them all around the country, from Washington to Texas to Virginia to Ohio, Florida. And the whole goal is circumvention, not compliance. In other words, when tyranny becomes to a certain point, it becomes more efficient to actually figure out how to circumvent the law than comply with the law. And that's very much where we are now.
I had a farmer, Bryson Lipscomb, on not too long ago, who was very frustrated that those would be your two choices, that you would have to either comply or circumvent. Why aren't the laws written in a way that's favorable for what's good for the environment and good for people's health and good for the animals and all the good stuff you talk about?
Well, have you seen how much the pharmaceutical industry pays political campaigns?
I was a TV news reporter. I have heard a little bit about pharmaceutical advertising.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, they buy half the advertising on TV. And so there's I think right now, bird flu is COVID 2.0. Bird flu is the next act in a great big play pitting captivity against freedom. And here we are with bird flu, the paradigm, the policy, and eventually then the piracy, paradigm, policy, piracy coming out of the bird flu, whatever, conflict, tension, is defining literally where the world goes, certainly where our country goes over the next period of time.
It does seem like during COVID, many people complied thinking that if they just complied, they would be left alone, without realizing that maybe we would have been left alone if fewer people had complied. In other words, it was kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. More people complied, the more compliance that was requested of us, not the less.
Right.
So how does that work here?
The biggest lie in the world is that when bureaucratic regulatory intervention pokes its nose under your tent, that if you'll just say yes, come on in, that the camel won't come into your tent anymore. This is the great lie. And so what we're doing at the Rogue Food Conference is we are showcasing people who have legally circumvented a lot of these regulations. Right now, the point of the spear is, do I own my chickens? Can I be responsible for the remedy of my chickens? Right now, a government agent goes onto a farm without a warrant and takes a sample, a PCR test at 45 cycles. By the way, all of that is questionable. The PCR test, the 45 cycles that they come on your farm, and if they find something, even if all your chickens are healthy, but if they find something, they can demand that all your chickens be destroyed. And so this is literally a point of the spear. You know, do I ultimately have responsibility and authority over my stuff? I mean, that's the question.
Some farmers are even talking about, like, they have the number for their local militia, just so they have a numbers game when the government agent shows up. That sounds so crazy to me that we're at that point. Do you think that's a little hypersensitive, or no, are we really at that point? No,
we are at that point. Realize that the 166 million chickens that have been killed, well, chickens and turkeys, most of them chickens, that have been killed in the last 24 months, probably, and I'm being very charitable here, according to Dr. Peter McCullough, probably no more than 1 million, maybe 2 million if you want to slice it as, you know, as liberal as you can, have been sick. All the rest of them have been healthy. By what stupid idea does anyone think that we can actually increase immunity by destroying the survivors? look, every being, the virus is adapting, trying to get, more whatever, virulent, rambunctious, if you will. But so are the chickens. The host of a virus is also adapting and developing antibodies and antigens against the virus. So when you kill the survivors, which are on the leading edge of the immune, you are not only denying progress, you are denying you're denying poultry the most adaptable specimens of vibrancy that are adapting to withstand the virus. So so both of them are competing, and so no, we are at that point. In fact, day before yesterday, 2 days ago, I met with our local sheriff to get a commitment from him that if agents came on our farm without a warrant, I could call him and he would run them off. And he agreed absolutely. He said, now if they get a warrant, it's a different ballgame. But we now have a plan in place. I will be letting our customers know if they come with a warrant and we and the sheriff can't stop them, then our next step is to rally our patron base to come and have a showdown, lie down in the surround their vehicles, whatever it takes.
Amazing.
It's crazy to even think of
it
this.
Is.
But here we don't believe for a minute that that bird flu is an insurmountable immunity problem. We've had bird flu for 100 years, okay, or more. I mean, probably longer than that. We just didn't know enough to start naming it. Okay, the point is that nature has a way of adapting and whatever, building immunological function against this, just like immunity to COVID. Okay, they said, well, if you got it and you're over it, that's the most immune you can be. All right, but in the poultry industry right now, if you had it and got over it, and they can find the antigens, you're still dead, even if you had it, got over it. So the point is, there is not a flock. Here's the thing you got to remember: there's not a flock in the world, and it is all over the world. It's arguably worse in the U.S. than anywhere else, but it's all over the world. There's not a single flock in the world that has gotten bird flu where all the chickens died. The most that have died, even in the worst, most rampant case out there, is 90%. Now, 90% is high, but that's 10% survivors. Why on earth would anyone kill the survivors? No, you take their semen and eggs and you breed them and they live another day. They didn't get it. And so right now we have this conflict between, does the government own my chickens? Are my chickens an object of the state, or are they my chickens? And can I have informed consent, like we were asking for in COVID, informed consent? Maybe I don't want to take the jab, but we didn't have conformed. You either take it or you're fired or you're gone or you're whatever.
And the information was censored.
And the information was censored. It was all censored. So there was no informed consent. So what I'm hoping is that the COVID Act 1 created space now for bird flu Act 2, that we're going to demand informed consent. And no, you can't do to my chickens whatever you want to do. These are an extension of me. I take care of them. I water them. I gather their eggs every day. They're not your chickens, they're mine. And I should be able to establish the remedy. Thank you very much. And if the remedy is, I'm going to just sit it out and see how many get sick, or I'm going to give them, we now have numerous hypochlorous, we have CDS, we have this quinoline product, we have homeopathic. There are now countless studies showing the efficacy of non-vaccine approaches, okay, and very very effective. So are we going to allow those to be tried, or are we going to shut down the minority view? We're going to burn the heretics at the stake again.
And so solutions for the average person watching this, because probably most of them are consumers versus farmers.
Right.
Did we get to this point because consumers did act for many years like the government does own our food, like we're just handing over our informed consent to them, and so we've kind of gotten ourselves into this mess? And so then it seems like then just thinking voting or hoping Joel Salatin's going to run the USDA may not necessarily be the best or only option for fixing it.
No, I think the all the independent poultry growers and the MAHA movement, we're all in this together. This is a conflict between those who want to capture us, our beings, our animals, our property, our society, versus those who are opting for liberty and freedom and choice among consenting adults. Okay, I mean, think about this. We're the culture of choice now. You've got choice in the bedroom, choice in the bathroom, choice in the womb.
Well, some people don't have choice in the bathroom anymore. They wish they did have choice on their sports team, but
yeah. Well,
unfortunately,
I'm waiting for those people to come to this side to realize, the offering choice to the populace, make sure that on the table of the marketplace of ideas, that on that table of marketplace of ideas, the minority view gets heard. And right now, when people who operate these other alternative cures that are very, very simple, cheap, you can drink them, all right? They're antiviral drinkables, basically. The USDA won't even study them. They don't even exist. You can't come to the table with this. And so it makes me realize that the power of the pharmaceutical industry right now, I mean, they own the media. I mean, half the advertisements on TV are drug companies. They own the politicians. They're the number one, political supporter or, money coming in. They own the land grant universities, okay? And they own the USDA. And it's $2 trillion a year. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of power. And that's why I say this bird flu thing is like the tip of the spear in this really, it's a conflict of the ages.
One time when I was talking to my old news manager, we had a Department of Health spokesperson on talking about get your flu vaccine. It was flu season. And I mentioned, well, what about all these other things like RFK Jr. had written in this article about vitamin A? Yeah. But you should have seen how the media came after him just to even bring up vitamin A. And, I got the same reaction. Like, it was as if I was undermining the standard of care by even offering something else. Like, not even saying don't get it, just saying, what about vitamin D or sunshine or get some rest? These are basic. But apparently this is very conspiratorial nowadays. But you're right, it is. And a lot of the reporters are just totally bought in, brainwashed like I was for such a long time. I mean, I was there. I didn't ask a lot of questions about this. Once I did, I basically left because I realized the system doesn't support it. So here we are now talking about food, and I guess the end of the story is, you're telling people opt out of the system. I mean, that's basically what the Rogue Food Conference is essentially giving people the pragmatic ability to do.
That's correct. That's correct. What I want people to, if you can, get your own chickens. Nothing beats having your own chickens. If you can't do that, find a farmer that's got chickens that doesn't have them in a factory confinement house. And we need to build a parallel universe, just a disentangled alternative universe outside the system. And while you're here, Allison, let me just mention my last little soapbox here is this bird flu is being found in not a lot, but in some backyard flocks. So I want to talk to all my backyarders, homesteaders, little people. Folks.
Hi, I'm one of them.
Yeah. All right, folks. A chicken becomes nursing home at 4 years old. They don't live very long. Okay. And I know you love your chickens. You have them named Matilda and Priscilla and whatever you're going to name them. When they hit 4 years old, please get rid of them, because these old geriatric chickens are weak and they have underlying comorbidities, okay? And so they're vulnerable. And so please, because trust me, the industry wants nothing more than to blame this on backyarders, pastured, free rangers, all that. Anyone that's not in the Purdue Tyson family, they want to cast blame there. And so we need to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves in this, take care of our own business. And when those birds hit 4 years, dress them and make chicken and dumplings or chicken salad. I mean, that's what that's for. Let's not have our geriatric chickens.
Real fast, Nick, can you come here for a second? Since we're at a CSA and Nick has a ministry, I figured this would be a good opportunity just real fast to tell people, look, this is a practical example of something you can do. So Nick is our CSA farmer. He's organic regenerative farmer. As an example, Growing Back to Eden.
So Growing Back to Eden set up as a private members association. It's a faith-based farm and ministry. So it's basically set up for people to come here and find God, or where God put us in the beginning. He put us in the garden for a reason. You don't always have to go to a building to call it a church. This is a church. People come here, they find God, they fellowship, they love it, they eat good, they get nourished in both the word and nutrition. And yeah, that's why I set it up. It's what I was made to do.
And Joel, this is an example then. You have a ministry, so you're donating to the ministry, and this helps with the freedom to buy what you want.
The Private Membership Association is one of a cadre of non-compliant, of circumventive structures to get people out of the system. Out of and depending on how far you want to go with this, it can get you out of the sales tax system, the tax system, even money. There are lots of ways to get out of the system. So community supported agriculture, private membership associations, buying clubs, buying groups like this. We hear a lot about, well, we've got to protect the public. Well, what's equally important in a society is protecting the private. What if I don't want to be public? What if I want to have my little, country club of people over here, and we want to get together and do things that we don't want all the public to be involved in, or we're not going to march and protest against the public that we don't like what they're doing. Just let us play in our own garden here. Can we just play our own game here without a bureaucrat getting in between a neighbor-to-neighbor transaction?
Okay, Joel Salatin, Polyface Farm. Nick, what is your last name? Ager. Nick, we call him Farmer Nick, so Nick's his last name. Farmer's his first name. Growing Back to Eden. And then how can people find out about the Rogue Food Conference? Rogue Food Conference at Wonderfield Farm in Floral City, Florida, Friday, Saturday, March 14th and 15th. And roguefood.com or something like that.
RFC.com or .org. RFC.org.
Okay, great. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Bye, everyone.